Hey, hello. This is Frank D'Amato, and this is Living Therapy, the place where I share my life experience with therapy and healing, demonstrate some of my own inner processing, share what I'm learning. This weekend, I've been at the Internal Family Systems Conference here in Denver, Colorado, 2019. It's the last day, it's over. But I would like to share, I had a lovely workshop at the end of the day yesterday, and I wanted to tease out a couple of the standout experiences, give you a little sense of what that workshop was about and like. But mostly I'd really like to share these couple of powerful, really cool experiences that we did in the workshop. The entire workshop was by Susan McConnell, who I adore, and Susan was doing a workshop. I don't remember the exact title. It was essentially her Somatic IFS work and relational, in the relational field, and somatic meaning of the body. So a very body-centered approach to internal family systems and looking at our own parts and healing relational trauma. And it's a lovely approach, which I might go into my very rudimentary understanding of it in another video. But I want to unpack just a couple of really powerful experiences I got to share in that workshop yesterday. One was after Susan kind of set up the understanding of as a single cell, we are at the very first moment of our conception as the cell starts to form, we begin to separate into a back body and a front body, what will become this side and what will become the back, the spine. And that front body and back body have a different sort of essential nature, and that back body is kind of protective, almost like reminiscent of the turtle shell, right? That more ancient part of us, in the lizard brain, that back is spiny and protective. And so we would be doing these sort of, in the experiential portion, these meditative movements where we'd have a lot of space to follow, and our body movement focused on either the back or the front. So in this exercise I wanted to talk about, we were kind of focused on how do we relate and connect through our back. How do we move, leading with our back, and just really being mindful of that back. So we're in the room, a bunch of people, and a lot of people don't know each other, but I was moving about with my back, and I saw someone also backing, and we kind of saw each other out of the corner of our eyes, and we had known each other a little bit from other workshops and had a nice connection. Not someone I would say I knew really well, but a nice connection that we had connected in the past. And I kind of was like, we just felt our bodies kind of moving towards each other, back to back, right? And then so suddenly we were like, and there was this interesting moment where I was kind of offering my back to this person, not sure if they were accepting because it was all wordless. And then they kind of came over, and then suddenly we were back to back, and we started to gently lean back to back. Now, what began to happen then was this it's going to be hard to explain how incredible this was. We were just so gently touched back to back, and our feet was planted, and then we gently began to sway and hold each other up. Now, I've done these kind of like counterbalancing exercises in like improv groups or whatever, or dance, but this was very, very different. We were like the rocking and the gentleness. We were just allowing our bodies to kind of float together, and in the swaying, it was so relaxing that I was drifting myself almost to a point of falling asleep. Now, I had to stay somewhat conscious just to make the most gentlest adjustments to help the other person stay and me stay, but our bodies just fell into this sync where our bodies just kept moving and knew these micro adjustments. All our analytical thinking was totally shut off, and I really just went into this deep flow state of being supported back to back with this person. And then the leader, Susan, was continuing to talk through what kind of like bringing forth the emotional aspect of what was happening around our back bodies, maybe different parts of us that are in our back or in our front. And so I was really connecting to my lower back where I have chronic pain and really leaning into just opening my heart. And then we kind of moved into this big heart expansive energy. So, the leader was leading us into this awareness of heart expansive energy. And so everyone in the room is sort of vibrating in like this heart expansion. And here this person and I are just gently rocking back to back in this space. And really, for me, almost able to just go to sleep in this way. And it was one of the most... we must have stayed in that rocking. I totally lost time. I'd have no idea. All I know is I didn't want it to end, because like when it was ending, I just could have stayed in that rocking place, gentle swaying for hours. It was amazing. The other neat thing was we then had these other groups that I'm going to talk about. So a later exercise shortly after, I think it might have been even right after, we broke up into these groups. And I really like this exercise, and I'll explain it. I think I might steal it from Susan and bring it to when I set up, I'm going to be setting up a immersive internal family systems based healing retreat. And I might take this one because it's so nice and so simple but so powerful. We were in like a triad, group of 3, and one person got to speak for 3 minutes. And while that person was speaking, one person was a listener who was listening in a left brain kind of way, like listening for the content. What were they talking about? And that listener's job was to sort of feedback at a content level what they heard. So that's just at the words, to be listening to the words and the content, and to be able to feed that back. The other person was really focused on just their body resonating as they're listening to the person talk, not needing to hear the content at all, not even listening to the words very much or very closely to the story of it, but really just tuning into how their body was like a tuning fork with the other person's emotional system. How was their body resonating? And to just speak back for that. And we'd go 3 minutes, the first person would talk, and then the listener would feed back what they heard at the content level, and then the resonator would speak to what it was like for them to resonate with the speaker, and then the speaker would get to speak for a minute about what it was like to hear that feedback, the 2 different types of feedback. And when it was a really great experience to do that. I could talk about it generally, but I'd love to talk about just my experience as the resonator. And we were going around, so there was a speaker, spoke for 3 minutes, there was a person who was listening to the content, and I got to be just tuned into my body. And it was so powerful to be able to completely let go of the content and just to not even have to worry about what actually the person was saying, but to just feel into the what it felt like to hear them and to see what was happening in my body. And of course, my brain was like clipping onto just little words like tired or heavy, but it was all centered, and I just felt like my body sinking, like when that's heavy, and I could feel my body like pulling into the ground. And then the person mentioned something very powerful about a death of a mother in the fairly recent past. And because I was so, all I just heard was die, but I just was really more hearing, like feeling the tone in her voice and in her body. and I was just focused on my body, and I had never realized there was this wild, intense heat vibration of like a shudder, like almost so intense, like that, almost like woozy when I felt it and paid attention to it. And there was this immediate realization, like that type of reaction is going on to some degree, but when the rest of my brain is so focused on the content and what am I going to say and what part is talking, and I'm doing all that stuff, this is happening. This bodily, like hot shudder thing is happening because somewhere underneath my body is receiving that. And it was so amazing to be able to turn that off and focus and realize, wow, my body really deeply resonates with what's happening and is receiving this at a deeper level than my cognitive brain can map in the moment. And I got the immensity of the value of being able to do that. But I think doing that exercise for me opened up my awareness to just how much my body resonates, because I don't ever, as a practitioner and a holistic therapist and a shaman, I'm just trying that on a little bit since this workshop, I don't often be in the space where I can hold both of those, where I can put one down. I feel like I have to stay somewhat cognitive, and I'm staying open to what's here, as to feed my intuition of what the healing path is and how to connect with the client together, and to bring that into that, to let that inform the healing process in the relational field. But because this analytical part's so active, it's like I don't get that full awareness or the fullness of that. And so to be able to practice getting that fullness, I really have the sense that when I go back into my work and my therapy, I'm just going to have so much more. I'm going to say that without the modifier. I'm going to have so much more awareness and connection to my emotional body and be able to resonate even more deeply. And to me, that I have learned that is such a huge part of the healing process for me as a healer and a practitioner, to be able to bring that heartfelt resonance. That really opens up the space in the room. It really invites the self-energy and spaciousness in the client, and that's where the healing energy resides. And so being able to do that, oof. So thank you, Susan McConnell, for that workshop and that experiential. And I think I'm going to borrow it for some of my workshops, because in my retreats, when I get those up and running, because it was really powerful and so neat. And one thing to tie those two pieces together, in that work, when it was my turn to speak, I got to speak about the back-to-back exercise and do that swaying. And it was so powerful to just see the other people in the group. They got a healing experience from hearing me share that and talk about that back-to-back body experience. And it was so neat to see that ripple out, like we had this, and then it rippled out to the small group, and then and now it's here. And there was one other little piece, kind of after the fact, after the experience, like completely trusting, not trying to figure it out, like what was that? Why is it helpful? What does it mean? And yet after the fact, I'm just totally trusting and knowing it. There is something deeply relational healing to have that bond with that person and to be able to have that trust and that flow. But then also realizing, I was way more comfortable being in relationship from my back body than from my front body, which makes sense. And I noticed that's part of my relational pattern. I like to keep a certain degree of distance, right? In my life, I like to have my friendships very, very close and very regular and very consistent and very open, but also very separate, and also have a sense of like, yeah, we're kind of back to back in a way, and we can turn and look, but like, yeah, you're here and I've got my path out in front of me, and you're there and you've got your path behind you, and then we can come together at time and again and go, what's going on for you over there? This is what's going on for me. And not as safe for me to be so more deeply entwined. I like it that way. And so it just felt like a completely interestingly accurate representation of how I find comfort and security and safety and meaning and flow and connection and support in relationship. And it was great. So I wanted to share those 2 workshop experiences. I will try to create a couple more bite-sized breakdowns of some of the other workshops and what I took away from it and what my experiences were there, and maybe some threads of learning that I can share with you. All right. Well, you all be well. If you liked the video and you want to give me a little pat on the back, good job, or a little virtual hug, hit the like button or leave a comment. Leave any kind of comment about what this was like for you to hear. I would really appreciate that. If you like this video, if you just stumbled upon it and you like it, you want to see more, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell for get a notification when you find out I got a video so you can get some more updates on living a therapeutic life, how to make your life more therapeutic in all the areas, and how to find joy. I find so much joy in this process, being on a continual healing path and learning journey. So, hope to see you soon. Bye.